This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Is a paid program. The content is provided by the advertiser. WPSL, its staff, management, and ownership are not responsible for the content. Investment involves risk. Prior to making any investment, an investor should meet suitability requirements. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future performance. Neither the opinions expressed nor the information provided constitutes a recommendation to purchase or provide investment advice. The material presented is not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person or firm. Securities offered through Centaurus Financial, member FINRA and SIPC. And now, the host of the Team Martek Hour, Joe Martek.
I'm on now. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. What? What's your name again?
What?
So we're just
Who
talking.
are you?
Can you imagine us talking politics ever? You know, just
Never.
Miracle type thing. So
What's your name?
You've
been gone so long.
I just missed 1 week, and I'm gonna miss not next.
That's what I said. You've been gone so long.
I'm missing not next week, but the week after. I'm going skiing in Montana.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Well, hold it. You can't do it.
Why?
Do you have your COVID passport?
Absolutely. I just got my stick stuck up my nose again for the second time. Came out of the back of my head. It still hurts back there.
Okay.
340-1590, 340-1590. This is the Team Martek Hour, and nobody's here but me. Alan is on hold down restriction. Doctor doesn't want him getting COVID on purpose, so he's a walking health problem to start with. So they're trying to protect him. I get a kick out of this. You know how people actually believe what doctors tell them. So the first time his doctor, who he loves, because he has a concierge doctor says, "Hey, I don't want you going out and doing that stuff." Then next week,
Alan loves his doctor.
Yeah.
Is this a news story?
It's a news story.
I mean, this is like
Alan loves
attraction.
Yeah,
type thing.
Yeah. Well, what happened is,
his
doctor says he doesn't want him out exposed, so you've got to be careful. Then next week he says, "Oh, by the way, I'd like you to go out and get exposed to some cold air." So let's see how the cold affects his messed up body, if it makes it any worse. And
he's going to Vegas, though, right?
Well, he's been unevicted temporarily.
Okay, because I've been in some 18-degree weather with the winds blowing 40 miles an hour in Las Vegas.
You know, Vegas can get cold.
Oh, yes, it can. Well, there's snow in those mountains all around.
Hey, but it gets cold. But it's dry cold.
It is very dry cold, yes.
You know,
which means your hands crack.
Let me just tell you, it means you freeze dry.
You freeze dry. That's a good. That's real.
That's
true.
About the truth, right?
That is so. Oh man, that's true.
Back in 2004, Joe Martek, financial advisor, Dan Warren, independent insurance agent, Greg Fasula, attorney, started doing these radio shows when the concept was pretty simple. We're here to help people answer questions. Since 2004, we have added Ms. Victoria Lloyd, Remax of Stewart, hardest known realtor known to man, and Mr. Mike Paulus, mortgage broker, who has helped more people than you could possibly imagine. In the meantime, we talked about Alan Love, our special guest member, who
loves his doctor.
Who loves his doctor, who doctor said, "Hey, Alan, stay home. Don't go out in the morning. But go out in the afternoon and see how cold it is." Alan, is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is. Anything you say is fair, Joe.
So was that you running on the beach in Jensen Beach the other day?
No, it wasn't me. It was my clone.
Your clone. Well, hey, Alan, I had a client come in this morning and talk to me, and she wanted to say hello to you for sure. She says, "I'm going to miss him." And I said, "Well, we're not sure he's really going. He's been unevicted, and he might, you never know. So as far as you know, what's your status now?"
So far, I'm still going on February 2nd.
February 2nd. So you got 1 month, just over a month.
That's right.
Well, hey.
And I'll tell you something. The airlines are really hurting. I originally was going to fly on February 23rd, and Southwest Airlines was going to charge me $123 to go one way from Fort Lauderdale to Las Vegas. Flying February 2nd, I am paying $74.
Right.
It's incredible.
Well, I'm flying round trip from Fort Lauderdale to Kalispell, Montana, $250 a person. I mean, cheap.
That's
cheap.
not bad.
Not bad. It's cheap. I mean, it used to be like $600 was the going rate. You know.
What do you mean $250 a person?
I'm one person. It cost me $250 to fly round trip.
Okay.
I mean, this is pretty hard math for you, Greg. I know, but I'll help you.
Okay. So you're just picking up a date in Montana.
No. Dee is listening right now.
I know that.
I'm giving her your home address, and don't worry about that firebomb in your car.
Oh.
No.
Yeah. Alan's right. I mean, I saw some, because we flew when we went up to Bristol. And
as in Connecticut?
And it's in Connecticut, yeah.
They allowed you in?
Yeah. Of course, they threw me right out of
That's
the
only
ESPN
right.
campus. But,
Yeah.
and we've been getting emails ever since. And we can now fly to Hartford for like $49.
Yeah,
It's like, are you kidding me?
Well, this too will pass. We know that. But
but
it's going to take a period of time. And with the stimulus, I get a kick out of it. Alan, have you been studying all this stimulus BS that's going on?
Oh, yes, I have.
Do you have an opinion that we can air and clean up a little?
Well, I just think our whole country politically has been going downhill for years, and we hopefully are seeing the worst of it right now, and it'll get better during the Biden administration, because the one thing Biden was able to do through his career was make friends on both sides of the aisle when he was senator, and hopefully that will help his administration and help to get things done in the country finally.
Are you being sarcastic, or do you actually mean this?
I actually mean it, yes.
So, well, what I do like the COVID relief bill. It was only 5,593 pages. And, of course, nobody had a chance to read it.
Nobody read it, yeah.
Nobody, and like Nancy said, hey, we've got to sign it to find out what's in it, right? But it's called the COVID relief bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID, Trump said. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment. It's only right. $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan.
But our State Department is assuming that those are going to be to fight COVID.
Really? $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan. Now, do you have any idea what a gender program is?
Yeah, it's called a bullet in the head.
That makes so they got to buy some new bullets, I guess is what it is. $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. Now
I'm for that because we go down there. So yeah.
Yeah, but what are they going to do with the money?
Who cares?
Just
improve Belize.
Improve Belize. I only want to go on the islands. I don't want to go to Belize. I want to go on the out island where anyway. So I just get a kick out of it. And then our boy Trump, who I voted for, I like what he does. He wants the $2,000 a person, but in his bill he wanted to add a commission to investigate voter fraud. I mean, let's. Is there anything, is anybody actually doing what they say they're going to do without packing something into it? I mean, it's just, is there anything that's ever been done straight up?
All absurd.
There's no such thing, right? Alan, come on, you must know something that I don't know.
Well, look, when the people in Congress are in Congress basically to just job and just keep voting them in, you're asking for problems, and that's what's been happening the last 25 years or so.
Do you have a cure for this?
Yeah, term limits. And I think my solution is a very practical one, and I'll tell it to you. I think that term limits in both the House and Senate should be limited to 12 years, but in your final term, if you get 60% or more of the vote, you are then able to run for another term, because it's very hard to get 3 out of 5 people to vote for you. Well, if your constituency is thinking you're doing that good a job, then there's a reason why you should probably have another shot at extending your term limits, because of the fact you are working for the people and doing a good job.
Well, back when I was a kid in Michigan, the way the politicians work made perfect sense to me. They bought the votes. They'd walk the neighborhood and hand out $100 bills. And, boy, that worked really well. So that's how they got 60% of the vote.
Walking precincts. Boy, that's a lost art.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, now all you get them is on your smartphone. And somebody on one of the talk shows, I forget what, one of the George Washington experts was talking about the way to get rid of a lot of this stuff is A, term limits, as you guys were discussing, and B, 1 term as president, 6 years.
Well, you know
That's
what?
it.
Yeah.
That's it. You can't run again.
Yeah.
Can't run for anything after that.
Well, and even Alan, you're making it too easy for these guys, because if I can do my 1 term limit, then I can buy 60% of the vote with enough money, because I should have made enough money in my first 12 years that I can afford anything.
And a lot of incumbents get
boy.
60%.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, we have to understand that the, quote, intelligent voter is the minimal part of the voting populace, meaning, do they vote on issues? My mother loved Bill Clinton. If Bill Clinton ran again, she'd come out of the grave today. I mean, no doubt about it.
My mom, too.
Yeah, that was an absolute. And my mom was a born-again Democrat. Just forget anything. We only vote Democrat. Don't you know we're from Detroit? We're in the UAW. This is all there is to it. You don't even think about anything else. Alan, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I was from Milwaukee. Milwaukee was a big union town back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And the union just basically said to their rank and file,
this is what you'll do.
Who you're voting for.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to be a committee man, you got to vote at least 3 times. Yeah, my
Tom Teeter tells a great story of his father. This is in LaPorte, Indiana, which is right near Chicago.
Yeah,
and then he used to have ballots in his trunk, and of course there were no cell phones back in the day, so he would stop at a payphone and say, how many ballots do we need? And at this precinct, that precinct, and then he would just run them over there. I mean, I think about stuff like that, and oh, man.
I mean, like they think voter fraud is a new thing. I would bet, this is my personal opinion, that there's less voter fraud today because of electronics, because of computer systems, than there were back when we were kids, young people. Because, boy, paper ballots, you could manufacture them as fast as you wanted and keep stuffing them, and they didn't do verification to find out how many times a person voted. It's pathetically easy. Today it looks like it's a bit harder, but I'm sure where there's a will, there's a way.
I am still for internet voting. And I know everybody's against it, but
the whole thing is this: if there's a way to actually verify, which you could do with computer programs in a heartbeat.
Sure.
I mean, that'd be these flaming genius kids out there.
You don't think Google's tracking every move you make?
Well, that's it. Yeah. And I'm sure I got a chip in my head someplace.
Yeah, you probably do.
I know I got a notch back there from my dad's World War II service ring, but that was, that might be where the chip is now.
Could have been the priest too.
Well, yeah. You know what? Father Reed, that was ours there. Boy, he was a character. This was what you call one of the poorest priests in the world. Had brand new Thunderbird every year. Is it taking you back to your days as a kid? Anyway.
And our Monsignor had a Cadillac. I was like, okay.
I know. So, Alan.
Yes.
Where's your words of wisdom? We're looking for some intelligence here.
Well, I'll tell you, getting back to COVID, talking about why I'm not doing the morning show with you, 3 weeks ago, I knew one person who had COVID, and I'm not just talking about casually
you need one
somebody.
person.
I'm talking about really knowing somebody.
Right.
That list is now up to 15.
You literally know 15 people personally.
I literally know 15 people who have it now,
right.
and it is nothing to fool around with, especially Joe, when we're in the age group that we are. One of the things that aggravates me is I'm 74 and a half.
Well, you look much older, though.
And the new CDC guidelines say that the next group in line are people who are over 75. So, Joe, you're ahead of me.
Hey, I can get a shot. I'll do it.
Me too.
Let me
Joe,
tell you.
You can get as many shots as you want in Milwaukee. There are plenty of bars.
Well, as long as it's Scotch, I don't have any problem at all. You know, I forget who I visited recently. They had everything but Scotch, and I said it's very inconsiderate people. You know, they have everything but Scotch when they know I'm coming.
Do you take the shot of the Scotch before or after the vaccine?
Yes.
During the vaccine.
Anyway, I got tested again, Alan, on the way up on the trip, because obviously, like you said, people were paranoid up there, and in truth, one of Dee's sister's kids, 3 of them have had COVID. Somebody caught it, and they all got it. Nobody got it. Was not. Bottom line was that nobody went in the hospital or anything, but they all got tested and they had it. So they were a bit paranoid about getting it, so they wanted to get us tested before we came up. So she did and I did, and they poked my stick in my nose, and it came out the back of my head in Savannah. So I was like 2 days out before we got there, and I got tested. So anyway, I might have picked up COVID on the way home, though, because I didn't get tested again, right?
You should be in quarantine right now.
Because of being in the car?
Yeah.
I mean, the car.
You don't know who's been in that car.
I do too. I mean,
do you?
Yeah, well, not 100%. I mean, wait a minute. Are we looking for honesty here or probability?
Well, honesty might work,
but it doesn't always.
But that's
definitely not in politics. We know that.
I have a question. My question is this a talk show today, or is it just going to be rambling on? The phone number, if you'd like to participate, is 340-1590, in case anybody's interested.
You know what?
He sounds like one of those Jesuit priests.
I thought we were just doing a rambling on show.
I don't know.
You know, I liked it when Russ called a few months ago about COVID, and he says, I don't know what the big deal is. It's killing old people, and we got too many of them anyway. I mean, hey, Russ, I hate to say this, but I identify with that. 340-1590, 340-1590. Well, speaking of our group, thank you, Lord, we all had a good year in spite of everything, better than I think we expected to have happen. We were able to help a lot of people. And Alan, I've had this happens to me almost every week. It just seems like people search me out, and they always get confused about the difference between an index annuity and a variable annuity or a fixed annuity. They just get confused, and they don't understand it. And I know that the guys selling these things somehow or other forget to inform people of a couple of the ingredients that could cause a problem. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Yes, I have.
It's funny I should say that. Now, here's an attorney that usually likes to speak for months and months and hours, and he says, yes, I have. And that was it. That's all I get, Alan, is yes, I have.
Well, Joe, I thought you were going to go and explain the difference between fixed and variable annuity. But if you want me to bloviate a little bit, unless you just want to protect your money and you don't care about how much return you're getting, a fixed annuity is fine for you. A variable annuity is basically a growth annuity and a protection for your family, but you do not want a variable indexed, or I should say a fixed indexed annuity, correct, Joe?
Well, I was looking for your opinion, and I got it. But it's, first of all, my compliance people say you're supposed to know the claims paying ability of the insurance company whenever you talk about them. But let me do this, because I was picking on Russ. He called in. So let's see if we can get Russ on the phone. Can we keep Alan on? And yeah? Can we get Russ on? Hey, Russ. Russ.
Yeah, I don't remember saying anything about having too many old people.
Ah, must have been your other cousin, your evil twin.
I do remember saying if anybody has it, I want to smooch with them, so I make sure I get exposed to it.
Well, you know, that way, yeah.
One of those 18 people he knows comes around, let me know so I can go up and give them a big hug.
Do you remember back when we were kids where Mom used to get us exposed to certain diseases so we get them over with when we were kids?
Measles,
yeah. Mumps. Then you know.
Mumps, too.
Yeah. So, I don't know, Russ. We might have a COVID party.
Yeah, it's obviously not going away with all this stupidity, so we might as well get it done with.
That's it.
It's flat out not going to go away anyhow, so
hey,
what's the point?
Greg, or Cliff, you said that the percentage of people in Port St. Lucie that have been, no? False news? Yeah. Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that fake news from?
I heard it on the morning show.
Wait a minute, this morning show? I like that. Did it come from Greg?
No.
Anyway, yeah, you just can't believe anything you read, hear, or see. I mean, so how do you believe anything? You just really can't. You know, you got to do your own research, and then when you do your research, you got to find out who wrote the article to find out what their agenda is. It's just a sign of the times.
So, Russ, what's your agenda?
My agenda?
Yeah.
Try to get the COVID so no one else can give it to me, I suppose. I don't know.
You got a pretty.
Haven't thought that far ahead.
You got a pretty heavy schedule there, Russ.
I'm telling you.
Hey, other than that, my man, how was your Christmas?
Same old, same old. I don't have any family down here, so.
Well, I went up to Maryland, and we 2 days up, 2 days back, 3 days with family, and survived the whole thing. Ate too much.
What part?
Kensington is the name of the town, but it's near Bethesda. It's right suburban.
Yep.
I mean, right in
by the Naval Academy.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what gets me is my girlfriend's mom has this little house, and I'm talking it's a little house with a basement and no garage. You know, the driveway next to the house. She said these houses are $600,000 in that neighborhood.
I'll bet.
And they're not 1,000 square feet. I mean, maybe not even 900. I mean, they are. But it's called, the market is just hotter than a pistol up there. Hey, government jobs, right? Or feeding off the government.
I remember when Carol and I went out to San Diego, saw my old house in San Diego, 1 bedroom.
Right.
It was like a little cottage. And you're right, it was about 800 square feet. And it was for sale for $1.9 million.
What a deal.
And it's right by the beach.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a block away from the beach. $1.9 million.
Numbers are off the wall.
And, I found my dad's first deed for that house.
Wow.
It's $5,000. It was a VA thing.
Yeah.
After World War II.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
$1.9 million.
Well, it's the dirt. And when they tear those things down,
they're tear downs.
They're
yeah.
building whatever they can fit on the lot, Yep. Hey, Russ, other than that, my man, help you have a good, healthy New Year. I hope the Republicans hold the Senate next week. And I'll be here next week on the show, and the week after I'll be in Montana skiing. Could be my last trip because I'm old, but hey, that's it. Alan, you still
Oh,
there?
have a good time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Russ, thanks very much for calling in, my man, and I'm sorry you weren't the one that said we could get rid of old people. All right. Alan, where's
there's somebody in the studio that I believe he's doing cartwheels now. Clif has been involved with Bitcoin for quite a while, and it is amazing what has happened with Bitcoin. And I'm just wondering if Clif wants to get a mic, if he's amazed at what's happened with Bitcoin, and if he has any idea of the future.
So he's coming over to a microphone now. Whoa, he's knocking stuff on the floor on the way over, though.
Is this Bitcoin or Concoin?
Yes, Bitcoin coin.
Bitcoin coin.
Bitcoin coin. He's trying to put it. Hey, he's a professional radio person, so he made a mess all the way here.
I'm allowed to talk about this on your show?
Why not?
Well, I know that...
here go the regulators.
The regulators are out there, and I know that cryptocurrency is something that financial advisors aren't talking about for some reason.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. We're all talking about it to each other.
Oh.
But the key is this. Most of us can't sell it. But I know a lot of guys that buy it. And then I also know that some of the houses are starting to trade in it. You know, they're allowing people to trade in it.
Oh, yeah.
Where? Okay, trade what?
The Bitcoins.
There are no Bitcoins.
Well, no,
Well,
look,
it's real money when they give you the card that your coins are on. You can go out and spend them. I saw a vending machine.
Oh, come on.
I saw a vending machine in a convenience store
Come on.
for
come on.
Bitcoin.
Oh, you didn't.
Where you could put your card in there, buy Bitcoin, or cash it out. It was like an ATM for...
Are you
Bitcoin.
serious?
I kid you not.
Where was this?
It's Orange Avenue and 30th Street. There's a convenience store there, and there's dozens more.
I'll be darned. I never heard of such a thing.
PayPal is going to also offer cryptocurrency as well.
Why not?
Yeah.
See, here comes the thing. Because it makes no sense whatsoever.
Insured by who?
Yes. Because it makes no sense whatsoever. It's
Actually,
probably perfectly sensible.
Funny you should mention insurance.
Yeah.
There's another altcoin out there. It's called XYO, and you geomine for it. My cell phone is collecting XYO right now. As I speak, I'm geomining.
He's geomining.
Geomining.
Yeah.
Good.
I got about 100,000 XYO, which I can spend. I can go to certain places, even auctions, from that, from KuCoin, KU coin. You get in there, you can go, you can
Alan,
sell out of your stuff.
is any of this making any sense to you?
Well, I understand that there are virtual ways of doing this, but Clif, one of the things that concerns me about what I'm hearing is the banks are letting this go, but the banks basically have the power to stop this. They can just say, no, we're not recognizing this.
Of course.
Well, ironically,
Anybody can, but then you've got to go back to Mr. Bit, to
the
go to
House did something interesting earlier in the year.
What?
They cleared the way for banks to start offering custodial services of cryptocurrency.
Are you serious?
That don't exist. I
know.
still.
Blockchain technology, Greg, we got to get used to it. It's something totally different.
Here comes
but
the
it's
thing.
Viable.
There's only X number of Bitcoins printed, right?
Right.
So what happens, the market is all resale, technically, in all these things.
Yeah.
In other words, not printing new ones. Now, who monitors how many are printed?
Who monitors?
Yeah, how do we know it's the truth?
Well, we don't. We look at but I could.
It's like being Catholic again. Here
You
we
can
go.
cash it out
Don't
anytime
ask
you
questions.
want.
You just are one.
You don't. You can cash it out anytime you want. You just don't become tax liable for it until you cash it into fiat currency, which is your dollar. When you turn.
Wait a minute. If I cash it out,
You have
and
to
I
buy
don't,
a fiat with it?
Yeah.
No, but it's a great
A Peugeot.
and there is a website called fiatleak.com/whatever currency you want to look at, whether it's BTC, Bitcoin, fiatleak.com/BTC,
Alan,
or
is all
XRP.
this
XYO.
making perfect sense to you?
Clif is doing a good job of explaining it, but Clif, my question for you is, are you at this point continuing to accumulate, or are you taking some money off the table?
Oh, no. I've traded off some of the bigger stuff that's done well to buy more XRP. It's taking a dive right now because of the SEC has got a lawsuit going against Ripple.
Little minor thing.
Yeah, but they'll straighten that out. I have every bit of confidence. In fact, I'm about to make a huge buy because it's going down low enough to buy more. When it's low, you buy more. When it's high, you sell.
I just,
Or trade.
I subscribe to Jamie Dimon's school. It's called what? There's nothing backing it up. Why in the world would you do such a thing? I want nothing to do with it.
Your regulators have just jumped out the window listening to all this.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm waiting for them to get what's going on and start allowing guys like you to talk about it.
well, everybody can talk about it. They talk about it all the time on the media.
They talk about it needing regulation. There's regulation right
They're
there.
talking about people buying it and selling it,
Yeah.
Same thing we're talking about. I don't see we're doing anything improper, immoral, or fattening. We don't need fattening.
I got to thank Alan Love for giving me a plug because on the side, way out there in YouTube somewhere, I'm known as just another crypto hoarder.
Another crypto.
I
was thinking about that last word. It sounded like that one, but never mind that.
You can play with it any way you like.
340-1590, 340-1590. All right, Alan, so much for crypto.
The hoarders have left the building.
The hoarders are gone. Yeah.
Yep. Good.
Oh, man.
Anyway, we were talking a little bit, and the reason this has come up twice in the last week, and even I wasn't even here, and I'm getting a phone call.
We've taken several calls for you in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it was called, this is an index annuity, and I said, no. Oh, really? Well, just so you know, there is a monster difference between an index annuity and a variable annuity. What's the difference? An index annuity is a fixed instrument. Fixed means it pays interest. Now, the way they calculate the interest is based on an index, which is in the stock market. Okay? Now, one of the things that I've only seen now one person ever, to this date, one, that was told the whole story, and that is that there's a cap, C-A-P, on the amount of interest that can be paid. Why?
So your amount is fixed, but theirs is not.
Well, yes.
Yes.
But here's what happens. What people don't know, and they're never told, that if you have a fixed annuity product, the government says the majority of the money has to be invested in the bond market, has to be invested in bonds. And it can't be in junk bonds and stuff. It's got to be in rather conservative instruments because this is a fixed guaranteeing interest, and they're doing that to protect the consumer. Well, bonds are paying nothing. 2-3% at best. If you can get 3, I don't think you can, but if you can. So how can an insurance company make a profit by bonds that are paying 3 and pay 5? Well, they can't. So what they do is they say, what we're going to do is we're going to pay you interest based on the performance of an index. Say the index went up 15% this year, which the Standard & Poor's 500 is, up 15%. They say, oh, wait a minute, we got a cap, C-A-P, that says if it goes more than 4, you don't get it. You only get the first 4. Or 3, and I've seen them as low as 2, where the cap was as low as 2. And some of the companies say, we can change the cap every year. You think they're going to make it better for you?
No.
So the whole concept is you need, if you ever hear that word fixed index, this should be the biggest light bulb in the world that goes off. You need to ask questions. What I often do is say, hey, show me a brochure or a contract, and I call the company directly. I don't talk to an agent. I talk to the company directly. And the people at the company are just going to give you the straight skinny. They're not going to make anything up. And I've done this, I don't know how many times, could be 100 times. I'm sitting with somebody, and they tell me what they've got, and they show it to me, and they say, what do you think, Joe? And I said, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call the company. I'm going to ask them questions. I'm going to tell you what questions. You're going to give them authority to talk to me, and I'll put it on speaker. And when we're all done, you're going to throw up. And literally, I've had one guy, he was a Teamster, heavy duty. He says, I'm getting to my legal, we find Jimmy and break some legs.
Yeah.
But here, I'm just telling you, it's a very sad thing. So, Alan, I guess where I'm going with this is that I have just, if somebody knows ahead of time what they're getting, if they really know what they're getting and they're okay with that, educated, then I'm fine with that. So, as opposed to variable, I had a lady come in this morning, listens to the show regularly, and she wanted a very, very, very secure, safe instrument, but it's paying 2% and 3%. That's about all you can get today. So I showed her the variable, which literally, the one I showed her was invested 50% into the S&P 500 and 50% in the Nasdaq 100.
I think I was like
which are up somewhere between 15 and 40% this year.
Sure.
And showed her what the numbers did. But then what they do, the insurance company says, hey, we put some wrinkles on there to protect the consumer. What's the wrinkles? Well, they're going to guarantee you income for the rest of your life based on a high watermark. So let's say you start with $100,000. That means they're going to give you $5,000 a year for the rest of your life. But what they do for the next 12 months, they're going to look at the high watermark maybe every 3 months, and then they look back at the end of the year and say, what was the high number for that 12 months? And that's the new basis for next year's income. So you have to understand that when we're in the market, you can follow this every day. And I think everybody in the world, even if you're asleep most of the time, has heard of the Standard & Poor's 500. That is the backbone of our country. It's called the benchmark in the industry. Everything uses that as the gauge to measure how well things do. But the S&P 500 has averaged 10% a year for the last 90 years. Some years up 15, 20, some years down 5 or 10. I mean, no such thing as the market always going up. But the bottom line is, I tell people, America's not going out of business in spite of politics. And Alan, when he's talking about Uncle Joe not being a socialist, but after Kamala pushes him off the stage, well, is Kamala a socialist, Alan?
Well, she's very, very liberal. She is closer to being a socialist than Joe Biden is, that's for sure.
Okay.
That's my girl.
Well, you're from California.
California.
We know socialism works. Look at California.
Yeah. By the way, did you see that nice Christmas party that Gavin Newsom threw?
No, come on, really?
French restaurant in San Francisco?
No kidding.
200 people. And, it was great.
No masks?
No masks. $600 a plate.
You're kidding.
And somebody shot video of it.
Oh.
It was great. It was like, oh, my
Uncle
goodness.
Gavin. Yeah, I will tell you. I guess, you think he's going to get reelected? Probably. Because, hey, listen.
Well, that recall has got almost 1 million signatures now.
That's all?
Well, but
That's half
still,
of half of L.A.
Well, that's not, no. It's West L.A.
Yeah, right,
But
right.
Yeah.
All I know is that when it comes to people investing money, one of the things that happens, and I think it happens to everybody, you need somebody you can trust, somebody that's looking out for your best interest. In spite of all the commercials on TV, to me that's all BS. I hate to say this. Bernie Madoff is in jail. He had all the credentials of anybody in the world. He's a fiduciary. He's all that good stuff. Every one of us are having to pass the same test. We have to have compliance like crazy. We have to have continuing education in order to stay licensed. The game plan is this. Those that have been around for a long, long time, normally, these are the guys that aren't going to take any chances without you signing a piece of paper saying you're dumb as a stump and I'm willing to take a chance. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. You don't say dumb as a stump, say dumb as a sack of rocks. We're in the South. Stump is up north. Is this coming back to you, Greg? Are you paying attention?
I'm lost.
That's what I figured. See? Short trip. But the reality is...
Oh, the flowers in my hair are coming back. Oh.
If only your hair would come back.
If only my hair would come back.
340-1590, 340-1590. So when I look at anybody and what you're trying to do is what's the right thing to do for somebody, and then take your time, do your own research, talk to people. We've been doing these radio shows now for almost 17 years, and everybody in our group, seasoned, what we call us old people, seasoned professionals.
It will be 17 years next year.
It's around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, next week, 17 years.
Yeah. Scary thought. I remember when we first. Yeah.
Can I talk a minute or two about Mr. Greg Fasula.
You're going to anyway. Go ahead.
You know, a lot of families, unfortunately, have lost maybe one or two or three family members or more to COVID this year. And Greg is just a wonderful trust in estates, and he specializes in just helping people. He does not only wills and trusts and estates, but all the other documents you need: health power of attorney, transfer on death. And as we get into 2021, it might be a very good time for you to take a look at the documents that you have, and if there needs to be changes, all you need to do is contact the station, 340-1590, and they'll give you Greg's contact information, or you can just go online and look up Greg Fasula, F-A-L.
No, but that's close.
S-U-A.
No.
And
no, wait a minute. You misspelled
no,
him.
did I do that wrong? I did it wrong.
It's Greg Paisan Fasula. F like Frank, A-S-U-L-A. Fa,
Yes.
Su,
What
La.
am I doing? Anyway, you understand.
Your
that,
assignment until next week is to write fixed index annuity 1,000 times on the blackboard.
Well, also, there's a movie out. There's a song, in the mountains, and something or other with Julie Andrews. Doesn't she go, Fa, Su, La, Do, Re, Mi, something or other?
He could use that for he could use that for the jingle.
You could use that for the jingle.
For his jingle.
There you go.
Oh yeah, Fasula.
Fasula.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, thank you for setting us up for that one, Alan. That was really good.
The deterioration of this show is sometimes incredible, but anyway.
Well, wait a minute. What do you mean sometimes? It's always incredible.
Seriously, Greg is just a fantastic attorney, and he is foremost out to help you. That's his number one. Some attorneys, they're looking for the dollar signs, and you're an afterthought. But it's the exact opposite with Greg. Greg wants to help you first, and sure, he's going to get paid for helping you. Of course, his first consultation is free, but I would suggest it's really important. Take a look at all of your documents now and make sure they're up to date as we go into 2021, because you don't want to have two things happen. You don't want to have to be in probate court when you don't have to be in probate court. And number two is you don't want inaccuracies in your documents that could cause another session in court. And court costs are much more expensive than a one-time cost to see a wonderful attorney like Greg.
One of the things to talk about quick with Greg is if you come down to Florida recently and you have northern documents, Florida laws are different. Every state is different. Attorneys do this on purpose so they can make bucks. But the bottom line is, if you have a document that's not proper in the state of Florida and you finally do decide to die, the court costs might be 4 and 5 times as high to your relatives, your family, your heirs, than they need to be. So it's a good idea to just review. And Greg, when you go in and see him, he'll tell you real quick within 10 minutes if you complying with Florida law. If you're not, it doesn't cost much to modify them to comply. It's just a smart thing to do. Hey, we're all going to die. You can't get out of here alive. It's what in the radio business, are you stuck here until you're 100 on the radio? Is that the rule? Something like that?
I have no clue.
Yeah, well, you're old. That's why.
What's your name again?
Yeah, right. 340-1590, 340-1590. How much time we have left, Chief?
Oh, we got about 8 minutes.
Oh, we got a lot of time. So, Alan, you have any other words of wisdom?
Well, I'd like to know, Joe, one of the things that you've talked about before is people moving into Florida and the real estate market. Do you see a lot of construction in other states when you go traveling?
Well, actually, when I was just up in suburban D.C., there was not a piece of land left to develop. So that's why the housing prices are off the wall up there. Florida is still, I think I did this before. One of the older statistics, this is from the 70s, and this is trivia, but it bring in perspective, and that is if you took the entire population of the United States and put it in Florida, the density would be the same as Great Britain. Now, those of us that have been overseas, they don't have a piece of dirt left to build anything on. Everything is done. Cemeteries, they bury you 6 and 8 deep, and then after a while they pick you up and throw you away because there's just no more room. So what we take for granted here, and I remember sitting in a restaurant in France and saying the people said they had relatives in Margate, south in Broward County, said they have a yard and a garage. They have a house. People don't live in houses. They live in apartments.
Sure.
Only wealthy people live in houses. I was in Germany, and there was a farm. The farm wasn't even a whole acre, but they had a barn and cows. And it's just a different world. So
Sure.
What happens is Florida's booming. They say 100 people a day are moving into Port St. Lucie. You can't blame them. New Yorkers, can you imagine why New Yorkers would leave New York?
1,000 a day into New York or into Florida.
Yeah.
By the way, California, hey, my home state.
They're losing them too.
We've done it. We've done it to follow the Northeast. There is now a Gavin Newsom wealth tax.
You're kidding.
Well,
That's his proposal.
this was right after the Oracle announcement. When you're talking about, as the guy from Oracle was saying, it's between them, Tesla, Hewlett Packard is going to be moving out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's several corporations.
Sure.
$3.8 billion in state taxes
Well,
that will not be there.
what happens
when
is,
they leave.
the point is, they're shooting themselves in the foot. In New York and California, they're doing it to themselves. And nobody has sympathy for them. I feel sorry for people that this is their home. I mean, California, and you and I know, Greg, in spite of the fact we pick on, it's probably the most beautiful state. They got more diversity than any state in America. I love California. I tried to move there before I moved to Florida. Couldn't make it work. But the bottom line is, it's sad, sad, sad to see what people do to themselves in California. 340-1590, 340-15. Like controlled burns. They have controlled burns in California every year. It's whatever they want to burn.
Santa Ana winds.
Just keep
Cliff
burning.
said, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
horrible.
I mean, it's very sad.
Well, and I mentioned it on this show before. This goes back to 1974 when I was doing, state capital stuff in 75, I guess it was, when Jerry Brown was there as governor. And he was telling us that he was trying to get forest management passed
Way back then.
through the legislature. That was 1975, and it hasn't been done.
Can you? And I just have no.
it's-
I can't figure out how environmentalists can stand by and say we can kill people, burn houses, kill animals, just like almost. They can't stop it once those Santa Ana winds hit.
No,
I mean, it just rips right through everything. And look at the wine country, Santa Clara. I mean, some of the most beautiful places.
When we had the ones in Santa Barbara, I was living in a little town called Carpinteria and had 3 other roommates, all firemen, and all died in that fire.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it was like,
Yeah.
it was just one of those things. And it was a fire that popped up and
Bam. When it
and
rips,
it
just
was
See,
horrible. Absolutely horrible.
California is either wet or dry, and it's
Yeah.
mostly
Oh, yeah.
dry. That's it. It's a long, dry season. 340-1590, 340-1590. Remember the group, folks. We got Greg Fasula, attorney, Dan Warren, who's no longer with us. Dan Warren, independent. He retired, but is now world.
Retired. Don't say he's no longer with us.
That too.
I mean, man. Oh.
He passed. What did he pass?
Holy
A gallstone.
smokes.
No,
Oh.
he moved up to Sanford, so he's playing family now, and
That's cool.
World Insurance took
Well
over, which
deserved.
now added, I mean, one of the biggest insurance agencies in America. They even give you more flexibility than Dan had, and Dan was the premier agent on the county. I mean, he was, but World is even bigger and better. So the more options you have as a consumer, the better off you are.
Yep.
Victoria Lloyd, Remax of Stewart, the hardest working realtor alive, period. I mean, I don't care what it is, and you can, whatever she says, you can take to the bank. You couldn't make her lie if you tried. Mike Paulus, mortgage broker. I will tell you, the thing that I love about Mike more than anything else is that you call him on the phone, in 15 minutes, he'll let you know what you can or cannot do. Because he'll run a credit check for you right now and say, hey, here's where you stand, here's what your income, here's what you qualify for based on what you just told me. So before you go shopping, you know what you've got.
You pre-qualified.
You're pre-qualified.
That's cool.
So, and he's the best at it. So the whole concept of the group, obviously, is to, Joe Martek's here to make your money and protect it. Everybody else out there is there to save your money and protect your family. And we've been unbelievably happy and successful and helped a ton of people over the years. Been a very blessed group. Actually, as I look at this year almost at an end, it wasn't a bad year for me except that my tooth fell out and my leg hurts. But other than that, nothing new there, right, Greg?
Yep.
Body parts kind of leave us every once in a while. But we all had a good year. I think when we looked at what was happening in March and we've weathered the storm of COVID and got this far, I actually think we're better off than we thought we would be at this time.
And we, luckily for WPSL and WSTU and La Gigante, never closed.
Yeah. I mean,
it's for the grace of God.
Yeah, amen.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Alan, you still there?
Yes, I am, and I want to wish everybody in our listening audience a very happy and healthy new year, much better than 2020, I pray.
All right, my man. Until next week. Craig, am I leaving you?
Pretty close. You got about 40 seconds.
40 seconds. And Cliff's over there playing with his phone.
Yeah. And don't forget.
Are you doing Bitcoin right now? I can if he wants.
In 2021, coming up, the Joe Martek cryptocurrency best of show.
Next week, 2021, I'll be here live.
Hey, how about that?
It's the week after I'll be in Montana.
Thank you, Al.
Yeah.
And until next week, thank you so much for listening.
You've been listening to the Team Martek Hour. The Team Martek Hour is a paid program. The content was provided by the advertiser. WPSL, its staff, management, and ownership were not responsible for its content. Investment involves risk. Prior to making any investment, an investor should meet suitability requirements. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future performance. Neither the opinions expressed nor the information provided constitutes a recommendation to purchase or provide investment advice. The material presented is not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person or firm. Securities offered through Centaurus Financial, member FINRA and SIPC. Tune in again next Wednesday at 11:05 for the Team Martek Hour here on WPSL 1590.
WPSL, Port St. Lucie.